She walked in, looked around, and laughed. Her friends joined in. You actually live here? I didn't defend myself. Didn't explain. I just made one decision that night. That changed everything about who had the last laugh. The apartment wasn't bad. It was small. Studio. Maybe 400 square feet. But it was mine. Clean. Organized. Everything I needed. I'd lived there for 3 years. Paid my own rent. Built my own space. Monica knew that. We'd been dating for 8 months. She'd been to my place maybe a dozen times. Never complained. Never said anything. But that was before her friends came to visit. She texted me that afternoon. Hey, can we stop by your place tonight? The girls want to see where you live. Sure. What time? Around 7? Okay. I didn't think anything of it. I tidied up, wiped down the counters, made sure the place looked decent. They showed up at 7:15. Monica, her college roommate Jessica, and 2 other women I'd never met, Taylor and Erin. All 4 of them walked in talking. Loud. Already mid-conversation. I stepped back to let them through. Jessica looked around first. She didn't say anything. Just looked. Taylor was next. Oh, this is cozy. Erin smiled. Polite. Didn't comment. Monica shut the door behind them. That's when Jessica started laughing. Not a giggle. A full laugh. Wait. You actually live here? I looked at her. Yeah. Like full-time? Yes. She glanced at Monica. You weren't kidding. Monica smiled. Uncomfortable. I told you it was small. Small is generous. Taylor said, walking toward the kitchen area. This is like a dorm room. It's a studio, I said evenly. I can see that, Jessica said. She was standing in the middle of the room now, hands on her hips. But where do you even do anything? I manage. Erin sat down on the couch. The only couch. The one that doubled as my bed at night. How much do you pay for this? Taylor asked. $1,200 a month. Jessica's eyes went wide. You're paying $1,200 for this. It's the city, I said. That's average. Average for a closet, maybe, Taylor muttered. Monica didn't say anything. She was looking at her phone. Jessica walked over to the kitchen, opened a cabinet, looked inside. Do you even cook here? Sometimes. Where? There's like no counter space. I make it work. She closed the cabinet, shook her head. I don't know how you do it. You get used to it. I couldn't, Taylor said. She was looking at my bookshelf now, judging the titles. I'd lose my mind. Erin was quiet, just sitting there, observing. So what do you do for fun? Jessica asked. Read. Go out. Work. Here, though. What do you do here? Sleep. Eat. Live. She laughed again. That's depressing. It's practical. Monica finally spoke. He's saving money. For what? Taylor asked. I didn't answer right away. Travel, I said. Eventually. Eventually, Jessica repeated. So you're living in a shoebox to eventually travel. Something like that. That's sad, Taylor said. Monica looked at me. Apologetic. But she didn't defend me. They stayed for another 30 minutes. Sitting on my couch, drinking the wine they'd brought, talking about their weekend plans. I didn't contribute much. Just listened. At one point, Jessica looked at Monica and said, I don't know how you do it. Do what? Monica asked. Date someone who lives like this. I mean, no offense, she added, glancing at me. But it's just so small. It's fine, Monica said. It's not fine. It's depressing. How do you even stay over? We don't really, Monica said quietly. Exactly, Jessica said. Because there's no space. I didn't react. Just sat there. When they finally left, Monica lingered at the door. I'm sorry about that, she said. It's fine. They didn't mean to be rude. Sure. You know how Jessica is. She just says things. I noticed. She kissed me on the cheek. I'll call you tomorrow. She left. I closed the door and stood there for a moment. Then I walked over to my laptop and opened it. I'd been looking at job postings for months. International positions. Contract work. Remote opportunities. I hadn't applied to any of them yet. That night, I applied to 12. Over the next 2 weeks, Monica and I saw each other a few times. She didn't mention the apartment. Didn't bring up her friends. But something had shifted. She stopped suggesting we hang out at my place. She stopped staying over. We'd meet at restaurants. Her apartment. Coffee shops. Never mind. 3 weeks after that night, I got a call back. A tech company in Berlin. They were looking for someone with my skill set. Remote work with the option to relocate. The pay was almost double what I was making. I had a phone interview, then a video call, then a final interview with the team lead. They offered me the position 2 days later. I accepted immediately. I didn't tell Monica right away. I wanted to figure out logistics first. Visa, housing, timing. But a week later, over dinner, she asked, "You've been distracted lately. Everything okay?" "Yeah, just thinking." "About what?" I hesitated, then said, "I got a job offer." Her face lit up. "That's great. Where?" "Berlin." The smile faded. "Berlin, Germany?" "Yes." She put her fork down. "You're moving to Berlin?" "I'm considering it." "Considering? Or you already accepted?" "I accepted." She stared at me. "When were you going to tell me?" "I'm telling you now." "This is insane. You can't just move to Europe." "Why not?" Because we're together. Because you have a life here. I have a job here." "That's not the same thing." She shook her head. "This is about the apartment, isn't it?" "What?" "Jessica." What she said. "You're doing this because you're upset." "I'm doing this because it's a good opportunity." "In Berlin." "Yes." "And what about us?" "What about us?" She looked hurt. "You're really asking me that?" "Monica, you haven't stayed at my place in 3 weeks. You stopped inviting me to things with your friends. You've been distant since that night." "That's not true." "It is true. You're embarrassed by where I live, by what I have. And that's fine. But I'm not going to stay somewhere I'm not valued." "I'm not embarrassed." "You didn't defend me. When Jessica called my life depressing, you said nothing. When Taylor mocked what I pay in rent, you agreed with her." "I didn't agree." "You didn't disagree." She went quiet. "So yeah," I continued. "I accepted the job. I'm moving in 6 weeks." 6 weeks. That's how long it takes to process everything. She looked down. "So you're just leaving?" "Yes." "And that's it? We're done?" "I don't know. Are we?" She didn't answer. We finished dinner in silence. She texted me later that night. "I need time to think." I didn't respond. 2 days later, she called. "Can we talk?" "Sure." "I don't want you to move." "I know. But I also don't want to hold you back." "You're not holding me back." "Then stay." "I can't." "Why not?" "Because this is the right move. For me." She was quiet, then said, "I don't think I can do long distance." "I don't think I'm asking you to." Another pause. "So this is really it?" "Yeah, I think it is." She hung up. We didn't speak again after that. The next 6 weeks were a blur. I gave notice at my job, started packing, sold most of my furniture. I posted the apartment on a subletting site. Someone took it within a week. My friends threw me a small going-away party. Monica wasn't there. I didn't expect her to be. 3 days before I left, I ran into Jessica at a coffee shop. She was with Taylor. They saw me first. Jessica walked over. "Hey. Hey. I heard you're moving." "Yeah." "Berlin, right?" "Yes." She smiled. "That's amazing. Good for you." "Thanks." "Monica's pretty upset, though." "I'm sure she is. She really cared about you." "Not enough, apparently." Jessica's smile faded. "That's harsh." "Is it?" Taylor stayed back, watching. "You're really just leaving," Jessica said. "I am." "Because of what I said? That night at your apartment?" "No. Because of what you didn't say. None of you." "What are you talking about?" "You came into my home. You mocked it. You mocked me. And Monica let you." "We were just joking." "No. You were judging. And Monica agreed with you. Maybe not out loud. But she did." Jessica didn't respond. "So yeah," I said. "I'm leaving. But not because of you. Because I realized I didn't want to stay somewhere I wasn't respected." I picked up my coffee and left. The flight to Berlin was 13 hours. I landed at Tegel. Took a taxi to the apartment the company had arranged. It was small, about the same size as my old place. But it was in a different city, a different country, a different life. I started work 2 days later. The team was good. The work was challenging. The pay was everything they promised. But more than that, I was free. I explored the city on weekends. Learned basic German. Met people at cafes and parks. Nobody asked about my apartment. Nobody judged how I lived. I was just myself. 3 months in, I got a message from Monica. "I saw your Instagram. Berlin looks amazing." I didn't respond. A week later, another message. "I'm sorry about how things ended. I miss you." I left it on read. 6 months after I moved, Jessica sent me a friend request. I declined it. A year later, I was sitting at a rooftop bar in Kreuzberg with some coworkers. One of them asked how I ended up in Berlin. "Just needed a change," I said. "From where?" "The States." "Big change." "Yeah, but worth it." He nodded. "What made you decide?" I thought about it. About that night. About Monica. About the apartment. Someone made me feel small, I said. So I made myself bigger. He laughed. That's one way to do it. It's the only way that mattered. 2 years after moving, I got promoted. Senior developer. Leading a project across 3 countries. The pay was triple what I'd made in my studio apartment. I moved into a 1-bedroom in Prenzlauer Berg. Balcony. High ceilings. Everything I wanted. I posted a photo of the view. Monica liked it. Then sent a message. You really did it. I'm proud of you. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I blocked her number. Not out of anger. Not out of spite. Just because I didn't need her approval anymore. I didn't need anyone's. I'd built a life that didn't require validation from people who'd made me feel small. I'd left behind the version of myself that needed to prove anything to anyone. That studio apartment, the one Jessica had mocked, had been a stepping stone. Not a prison. Not a limitation. A launching pad. And I'd launched. 3 years after leaving, my company sent me to a conference in New York. I agreed to go. Flew back to the States for the first time since moving. The conference was in Manhattan. I had a free afternoon. On a whim, I walked past my old neighborhood. The building looked the same. Same entrance. Same worn steps. I didn't go inside. I just stood there for a moment, remembering the life I'd lived there. The person I'd been. The person who'd let someone else define what enough looked like. A woman walked out of the building. Young. Mid-20s. Carrying groceries. She smiled at me. You live here? Used to, I said. It's small, right? I smiled back. It's perfect for what it is. She nodded. That's what I keep telling myself. Trust me, I said. It gets better. She looked confused. I didn't explain. Just walked away. Back to the hotel. Back to the conference. Back to the life I'd built. A life that didn't fit in 400 square feet. A life that didn't need to. 4 years later, I was living in a 2-bedroom apartment in Berlin, working remotely for a company in London, making more money than I'd ever thought possible, traveling every few months. Paris, Barcelona, Prague, living the life Monica's friends had assumed I'd never have. I posted a photo from a cafe in Vienna one afternoon. Monica commented, "This is incredible. I always knew you'd do great things." I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Because the truth was, she hadn't known. She'd doubted. She'd let her friends mock me. She'd agreed, in her silence, that my life was small. And I'd spent 4 years proving that the only small thing in that apartment had been their perspective. Not my potential. Not my future. Just their ability to see past the surface. 5 years after moving to Berlin, I was back in the States for a friend's wedding. I was standing at the bar when I saw her. Monica. She was across the room, talking to someone, laughing. She looked the same. A little older, but the same. She saw me. Her expression changed. Surprise. Something else. She excused herself and walked over. Hey, she said. Hey. I didn't know you'd be here. Mutual friend. Right. Awkward silence. You look good, she said. Thanks. So do you. I saw your photos. Berlin. Paris. You're really living. I am. I'm happy for you. Thanks. She hesitated, then said, I'm sorry. About how I treated you. About that night with my friends. I should have defended you. It's fine. It's not fine. I let them mock you. I was embarrassed. And I shouldn't have been. I nodded. You're right. You shouldn't have been. She looked down. I know you probably don't want to hear this, but I think about you sometimes. About what could have been. Monica, we wanted different things. Did we? You wanted someone whose life looked impressive on the outside. I wanted someone who valued what was real. That's not the same thing. She didn't respond. And that's okay, I continued. But I don't regret leaving. I don't regret any of it. I do, she said quietly. I regret letting you go. I looked at her. Really looked at her. I don't think you let me go, I said. I think I let you go. And it was the best decision I ever made. Her eyes watered. Take care, Monica. I walked away. Didn't look back. Didn't need to. Because that chapter was closed. And I'd written something better. 6 years after leaving the studio apartment, I bought a place in Berlin. A loft. 1,200 square feet. Exposed brick. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Everything Jessica had implied I'd never have. Everything Monica had doubted I'd achieve. I invited my friends over. The ones I'd made in Berlin. The ones who'd never cared about the size of my first apartment. We drank wine. Ate food. Laughed. One of them asked how I'd ended up in Berlin in the first place. Someone told me my life was small, I said. And I believed them for about 5 seconds. Then I proved them wrong. They laughed. Best decision I ever made, I added. And I meant it. Because the truth was, that studio apartment hadn't been a failure. It had been the foundation. The place I'd learned to value myself more than other people's opinions. The place I'd realized that staying small to make someone else comfortable wasn't worth it. The place I'd decided to leave behind everything that didn't serve me. Monica had mocked my apartment in front of her friends. I'd stayed calm. And then I'd moved to Europe. Not to prove her wrong, but to prove myself right. That I was worth more than the space I occupied. That my value wasn't determined by square footage or someone else's judgment. That the only person who needed to be proud of my life was me. And I was. 7 years later, I'm still in Berlin. Still traveling. Still working. Still building. I got a message from Jessica last month. Hey, I don't know if you remember me, but I wanted to apologize for that night at your apartment. I was rude. I'm sorry. I read it twice. Then I typed a response. I remember. But I moved past it a long time ago. I hope you're doing well. She replied immediately. I am. And I'm glad you moved past it. For what it's worth, you were right. About everything. I didn't respond after that. Because I didn't need her to validate my choices. I didn't need Monica's regret. I didn't need anyone's approval. I'd left that need behind in a 400 square foot studio apartment 7 years ago. And I'd never picked it up again. Monica mocked my apartment. I stayed calm. Then I moved to Europe. And built a life she'd never imagined I could have. Not because I wanted to prove her wrong, but because I finally believed I was worth more than her opinion. And that belief took me further than she ever could.